Good morning, everybody. It's Annalisa. Please feel free to share. Gets out there anyway. So there's a lot going on, as you guys know. Let me start out by saying this. We're going to get into this article. At this time, in this moment in history with these mandates, nobody's happy with them. So everybody's a little on edge. Nobody wants these mandates. Nobody wants to be forced to do anything. So we should all be supporting people that are trying to help out. So be supportive of others that are trying to help out with getting rid of these mandates. This is not a time to be critical of someone that's trying to help or be not positive. We need to have positive vibes going on here. So let's all just sit back, relax, and see if we can get what we want, which is to stop the mandates and go back to a normal life. This is what the Canadian truckers are trying to do, and we need to back them up and others that are trying with the efforts. I don't really want to say too much about what's going on because everybody knows what's going on. So let's just get together, stay positive, get things done, and that's it. So, all right. On my last video, I was talking about the candidates that are running for governor of Massachusetts. And I came across this article. It's by Politico. And in the article, it basically says that they have pretty much made up their minds that the two front runners are Jeff Deal for the Republicans and Maura Healey for the Democrats. Maura Healey is outpacing fundraising right now. So I want to talk about this article. There's a lot of information in here that I think, for me anyway, answers some questions. So let's start out here. This is by Lisa Kaczynski. She wrote this on February 2nd, or it was published February 2nd. So she says, Boston, this is in Boston, right? Jeff Deal is going full Donald Trump in his run for governor in Massachusetts, one of the bluest, most anti-Trump states in the country. That right there is false. That is not, this state is not one of the bluest or anti-Trump states in the country. That's not true. Deal, a conservative, former state representative who's run unsuccessfully for statewide office, didn't have much of a choice when he expected to primary moderate governor and Trump critic Charlie Baker. Securing the former president's endorsement just made sense at the time. So if you're paying attention to these words, it seems like Politico is on the left, or she is on the left, because she says that he didn't have much of a choice to put or bring in President Trump because the state is anti-Trump or one of the bluest in the country, which I think is false. So if that's true, then why is he the front runner for the Republicans if this state is so anti-Trump? False. That's a lie. That's a lie. But Republicans have kept control of the governor's office for the better part of 3 decades in this state by running as moderates. Yeah, no, the Democrats are the ones that are running like moderates and getting in, and when they get in, they're actually progressives, and that's Baker. Okay. Elaine Baker left wide open when he took a pass on running for a 3rd term late last year. Right. He's not running because it would have been different if he ran. Deal was going to fight or oppose Baker if Baker was going to run. So Deal, now leading the GOP contender for governor, isn't taking the opportunity to swerve the center. Instead, he's diving even deeper in on Trump, hiring former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski this week as a senior advisor. Baggage be damned. So obviously this woman does not like President Trump, but Deal does. And he has apparently hired Corey Lewandowski, who I think is from New Hampshire. So he is, I guess, all in with President Trump. So if I think he must be thinking he's going to win or going to try to win, bringing in President Trump on his side. Lewandowski traveled the country twice in 2 campaigns with Donald Trump and kind of built that barnstorm grassroots energizing campaign. Former Massachusetts GOP political director John Milligan said in an interview, Deal is likely hoping he can recreate that here. Yes, probably. Yep. So it goes on to say, but this is still, and in a state where general election voters have repeatedly and overwhelmingly repudiated Trump and candidates who trumpet his brand. Deal's latest move is head scratcher. No, that's not true. No. In a state where, no. False. I don't believe that for a second. He thinks he is going to have some sort of star power if he calls in the big guns. Former Massachusetts GOP chair Jennifer Nasser said of Deal in an interview, the more he talks about Trump and brings in Trump people, the less chance he has of wooing those folks that are in the middle. No. Nope. No, because there are more registered independent voters in this state. Okay? And nationally, the independent voters are going to vote for a Republican. So let's go on. Appealing to the middle is key in a state where independents make up more than half of registered voters and have routinely helped send moderates from both parties to the corner office on Beacon Hill. Well, the problem with that is that that's probably true, maybe, but they run as moderates, but they're not moderates. They're not truly moderates. And the independent voter in the state needs to realize that, because Maura Healey is running as a middle of the road in the center Democrat. She's not. She is a progressive. Her record is a progressive. She does not like President Trump. You've got Deal, who is pro-Trump, and you have Maura Healey, who does not like President Trump. All right? So people have to understand, especially the independent voters, because they can swing. They can swing this election, the independent voter here in this state. They can swing it either way. So Healey is going to run down the middle trying to get that independent vote. But the independent voters need to be smart and realize she is not running in the middle. She is a progressive. And if the independents do not like what is happening in this state, they have to vote for Deal. If he's the front runner and he's going to get nominated, they're going to have to go the other way or put in another name if they don't like Deal or Healey. All right, because there are other candidates that are running, but these two are the main ones right now, Deal and Healey. So appealing to the middle is key in a state where independents make up more than half of the registered voters. Even Democratic State Attorney General Maura Healey read the room and ditched her progressive prosecutor past in favor of a more middle-of-the-road, economy-focused message when she entered the governor's race last month and immediately became the front runner. Yeah, she's not economy-based, because look what's going on in Boston with proving that you've been jabbed. It's ruining the businesses. The restaurants are suffering badly. And Salem, the same thing, because they want the proving that you've been jabbed. So Salem is definitely hurting. And the Salem Chamber of Commerce has come out and said to get rid of the mandates because it is killing the businesses. So kudos to everybody who is not supporting the businesses in the cities and towns that are asking for proof of being jabbed, because they're not going to make it, and they need to smarten up. The city towns need to smarten up, and so do businesses. The businesses need to stop discriminating against people that do not want to show proof or do not want to get jabbed or whatever the heck it is, okay? They need to put something on their storefront saying that we don't discriminate, because it's unconstitutional. It's against the HIPAA laws and it's against the Disabilities Acts. That's what should be going on right now. So if that's not happening, then businesses should lose money, and all those establishments that require some kind of proof that you've been shot, okay? No. And these mask mandates have to end too. We are not in a state of emergency here anymore. These mandates should not be happening, okay? People are conditioned now, and this is what they want, okay? This is what they want here, because they're Marxists, all right? Don't forget that. So I'm going to go on with the article. This wasn't always Deal's path. He initially pivoted away from Trump when he launched his campaign in July, deflecting questions about the former president's conspiracy theories about the 2020 election and saying he'd rather leave national politics out of this race. But Deal was already starting to trend toward Trump behind the scenes, bringing on prominent Massachusetts Trump supporter Amanda Orlando, a fellow GOP state committee member and ally of Trump-touting state party chair Jim Lyons as campaign manager. So because Deal did work for the Republican National Committee, he's got ties in with them. So he's going to probably use those people to help him with the campaign. I think it's a smart move, in my opinion, because there are a lot of people that do still like Trump, and the independent voter, most importantly, is leaning over to voting for a Republican. So he's going to use those resources that he has built over the years to try and win being governor of the state. If it does become between those two, I hope Deal wins. He does not like these mandates. If he does get in, we have to become vigilant in making sure he keeps his promises on these mandates and getting rid of them. So we can't have this backstabbing politicians anymore, like Maura Healey is. She's going to be a backstabber. Or, maybe people like the progressives and they want this to happen. We don't. Most people don't want this. So let's go on. A few months later, faced with the prospect that Baker might actually seek a third term, Deal dove headfirst into Trump world with an endorsement from the former president himself. Everything Deal has done for the last year was contingent upon the expectation of a primary fight between him and Charlie. So Deal was thinking that it was going to be between him and Baker, and he was bringing in Trump, but Trump endorsed him anyway. But Baker bowed out in December, creating a power vacuum, and Trump hasn't exactly come through for Deal since. That's not true. The former president publicly danced on Baker's political grave in a statement that failed to mention Deal by name, and his endorsement hasn't opened the floodgates of campaign cash either. Deal is still trailing all three Democrats running for governor in monthly fundraising hauls, while Healy is outraising the entire field by orders of magnitude. Well, if she's out raising, then she is a progressive. No doubt. No doubt. They like her. They want her in to push these agendas even further. I don't know what's next. So I would, she has also sued the Trump administration numerous times. So she's definitely not a Trump supporter. She is not middle of the road. She is not for the economy, because right now the Boston restaurants and businesses are tanking. They're tanking. She's not like that at all. She is a commie. She's a commie. Deal isn't ditching Trump because, in part, he still got a Republican primary to get through in a vocal pro-Trump faction of a deeply divided state party. He'll need in his corner to secure the GOP nomination. So this writer thinks that Deal is going to need Trump to support him to get through the Republican primary. I don't know. Maybe. That could be. There's also a new moderate Republican in play, Chris Doughty. The wealthy investor is relatively unknown compared to Deal, who launched an ill-fated campaign against Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren in 2018, but he's already winning support from GOP state lawmakers and is expected to at the very least, make Deal work for the party's blessing. There's nothing wrong with competition. He is from Renham, I believe, Chris Doughty. He's a Republican. He hasn't said anything about the mandates, though. He is for the jobs and all that stuff, which is great. But where does he stand with these mandates? Enter Lewandowski. Despite being dumped from Trump's old super PAC and cut off by South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem after he allegedly made unwanted sexual advances toward a Trump donor at a charity event, the former aide still carries some weight in his native Massachusetts. Oh, he's from Massachusetts. I thought he was from New Hampshire. Corey is an incredibly talented campaign strategist, said GOP State Committee member Amy Carnevale, who worked across from Lewandowski on Capitol Hill in the early 2000s, and his roots in the Bay State run deep. Yeah, he is very good, Lewandowski. So if President Trump used him, then he must be smart. Still, Carnevale said hiring Lewandowski is perplexing and sends a clear message that Deal's campaign is very much focused on winning the primary election and has not shifted into a general election mode. No, he's trying to win the primary, right? And using these people, I don't think is such a bad idea if we're running. If Maura Healey, who's a progressive, is outpacing him and making money. More money than him. It's mathematically impossible for Republicans to win a statewide general election in Massachusetts without support from independent voters and even some Democrats. Baker, for instance, polls better with Democrats and independents than among his own party. Right, well, that makes sense. Because he's not a Republican. He's not a Republican. So it's smart that Deal disassociates from Baker, because Baker, to me, is not a Republican. He's definitely a rhino. So in general election, voters in Massachusetts have little love for Trump. The state gave him barely 1/3 of the vote in both of his presidential runs. Yeah, we don't know that for sure, because I think these votes and voting machines that we have here are rigged. So I'm not so sure about that. Deal's got plenty of issues to run on that would appeal to independents and middle-of-the-road voters. Inflation, energy prices, the Biden administration's failure to rein in COVID like they said they would, right, said Colin Reed. So, yes, that is the issue with the independents and middle-of-the-road voters, is exactly that. Inflation, energy prices, and the mandates. Can't forget about those. He's got so much to work with Reid, who also served as an aide to Mitt Romney. Ugh. Yet he's running a campaign seemingly grounded in the past. Yeah, I don't know about that. Of course, they highlight that quote because, this person doesn't like Trump, obviously. So, but oh well. Deal's continued embrace of Trump also opens a door for Haley, who built up her reputation in part by repeatedly suing the Trump administration to regain the foil she lost when the president left office. Yeah, well, this is who we do not want. With Corey Lewandowski in the fold, it is even clearer that Mr. Deal's agenda is fueled by hate and division, Haley blasted out. Yeah, okay. Could not be more stark. Yeah. Of course, she's going to start saying that, which is a big fat lie. To Deal, Lewandowski is a key advisor to have in running this campaign, he said in a statement. And he paired Lewandowski's hire with the announcement that former New England Patriots lineman Fred Smerlas and his wife Christy would serve as fundraising co-chairs for his campaign. Wow. Smerlas crossed paths with Deal on the Trump fundraising circuit years ago and has in the past toyed with running for office himself. Wow, that's good. GOP activists say Lewandowski, who has access to national level donors, could also help bring in the money Deal will need for the primary and potentially against Haley, the likely Democratic nominee who's already sitting on more than like $4 million in the general election. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much money somebody has. The people are not going to be swayed by that. Let him or like him or hate him, he's a nationally recognized name that gives some form of legitimacy to Jeff Deal's campaign, Valenzuela said. You can argue it comes with more harm than good, certainly with the ties to Trump, but Corey's not stupid. Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was a great article. For me, it answered a lot of questions as to how many registered voters there are in Massachusetts. Independents seem to be winning. I'd like to know also the numbers for the Republican and the Democrats. So I wanted to bring that out there. And so I just want to say this, and I will say this one and only time. It's too bad that people get their feelings hurt so easily. And it is too bad because this is the way we do not win. It doesn't happen this way, okay? It doesn't. And it needs to stop. This immature, he said, she said, all this ridiculousness has got to end because we're not going to win by playing these ridiculous games, okay? If somebody has something against somebody, then you should just say so. Don't go around playing games, okay? It's not going to help what we're trying to do here. So it's too bad. Oh, well, I'm sure I will get new people to follow me. Move on. It's time to move on for people that get offended easily. I do not want people like that, okay? You have to be tough. You got to be tough. You can't get easily offended by what somebody might say, okay? Especially if it's the truth. Especially if it's the truth. So, anyway, I wanted to come on, and I am going to share this. People need to know this. What is going on with Jeff Deal and Maura Healey. Maura Healey is running as a moderate Democrat. She is not. She is a progressive. Independent voters need to realize that because they're more independent voters than Republican and Democrats. So the independent voters need to be very smart. The Democrats are probably going to run along party lines. They're going to vote for her, realizing or not she is a progressive. I don't know. Or they still believe that she is a moderate Democrat. But I can say this, the moderate Democrats are all leaving the party and they are ruining the Democrat Party. So if the Democrats and independents keep voting in these so-called moderate Democrats, this is not going to be a Democrat Party anymore. Okay, this is going to be something else, because they definitely are, to me, communists, Marxists. They do not stand for the Constitution. They don't care about the economy. All they care about is themselves, their power, their greed, and what they're going to get and steal from the American people. So the Massachusetts people need to smarten up. And I will leave it at that. And you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.